We have spent over $25 trillion on black America in 60 years, and black America's poorer than before we started. We're talking about Medicaid, food stamps, we're talking about schools, public housing. The issue is not the amount of money. The issue has instead been a couple things. Number one, it's been the downfall of the black family. And unfortunately,
yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, the more money we've spent on this, we've seen the downfall of the black family. Just some numbers super quick. Is that in 1964, right before the passage of the Civil Rights Act, 75% of black youth had a dad around. Now it's 25%.
Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel where the art of debate makes the cool side of commentary. I'm your host, The Performance, and we'll be checking out a video titled Our Reparations Just Reverse Inheritance. Wow, this is another interesting one. I believe this is going to be heated. Let's check it out. Go.
What's going on, man? Doing all right? Welcome to Knoxville. I'm up here for one purpose. My buddy is a friend of yours. He lives up in White Pine, and he wants me to have this discussion with you because me and him had this discussion this weekend. What are your thoughts about reparations for black people specifically, and like black Americans specifically? What is your
Very much against.
Very much against. Can I ask why?
Well, first and foremost, I don't believe that we should ever pay monetary damages to people where nothing bad happened to them, just because they are related to a group of people where something bad happened to them.
Okay. So
because it separates the idea. Let me just finish, and then I'll throw it back to you.
Absolutely.
Our justice system, when properly understood, is about individuals receiving justice, not tribes or groups receiving justice.
Also, I want to state that just because I am a black man, I do not speak for all black people. So I'm just this.
I like this guy. You should give it up for him.
Just want to state that for the record. I'm speaking for myself. So, all right. So definitely hear you on that. And even for me, when it comes to reparations, for me personally, I don't believe that it should be a check. I think that reparations can look like many different things, whether it's like investment in institutions, more like, better schools, hospitals, all that kind of stuff. So my question to you is like, so since you are against reparations, would you say that we should be would you be for outlawing inherited wealth? Does that make sense?
Well, I'm not for outlawing that. And those are two different things.
Can I explain my point though? All right. So my point to that is that so what I hear for the argument against reparations is that black people today, obviously we weren't there, forced slavery, segregation, all of that kind of stuff. So we've done nothing to deserve that, because all the people who should have gotten it, actually not even probably, who should have gotten it, are either long gone or whatever. Now there's still some who are still with us today, but that's a conversation for another day. But my point is that inheritance and inherited wealth is something that the great grandfather whatever is passed down. Homeboy who is here today did nothing to deserve that multi-billion-dollar business, but he gets it because of his bloodline. Correct? Is that how it?
Yeah,
that's how inheritance works, right?
Yeah, no, like Bronny James is going to get $1 billion.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. Great example. So what I'm saying is that what I'm trying to say is that I believe that reparations in and of itself, one, I don't think that the argument is formed right, and two, I believe that it's kind of a reverse inheritance, if that makes sense, where it's where it's yes, black people, like me personally, yes, I did not have to suffer through Jim Crow, slavery, or whatever, but all those choices that were made in those times have gotten necessarily me to where I'm at now.
Got it. So let me tell you where we have a difference of opinion.
Okay, absolutely.
So we as conservatives tend to underemphasize this idea of many legacies of suffering. Whereas people on the left, not saying you're on the left, but the other perspective.
Definitely not.
No, for sure. But that's fine. No, that's fine. Let's just say the other side of the argument tend to emphasize that you are stuck because of something that happened to you many generations prior. We believe, absent very unique circumstances in the United States of America, that is almost never true. For example, we think every individual should be judged by their own actions, their own character, and their agency. Now, let's play this out, though. You're acting as if, not you, but let's say the argument, because you're coming after this in a great way, there's been no money sent black America the last 60 years. We have spent over $25 trillion on black America in 60 years, and black America's poorer than before we started. We're talking about Medicaid, food stamps, we're talking about schools, public housing. The issue is not the amount of money. The issue has instead been a couple things. Number one, it's been the downfall of the black family. And unfortunately,
yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, the more money we've spent on this, we've seen the downfall of the black family. Just some numbers super quick. is that in 1964, right before the passage of the Civil Rights Act, 75% of black youth had a dad around. Now it's 25%. So only 25%. So 1 in 4 kids have a dad around. Black dads are no longer a big part of young kids' life. It's a very big problem that has huge ramifications. Then finally, on the reparations argument, that comes into just more like concrete questions. Where do you draw the line? Who defines it? And also, why would you tax, for example, somebody like me? My ancestors fought on the Union side of the Civil War, so I got to go pay more money, even though my ancestors did the right thing. No offense if you guys fought for the Confederacy. That's not trying to, drum up any, it's all good. We're all Americans now. I'm not. Why should I have to then go pay for something that my ancestors did correctly? Finally, it's like, how do you prove it? Prove it. Like, this is not your argument, but it's a hilarious contradiction. The very same people who tell you that voter ID is racist want all of a sudden black America to prove that they're the descendants of slaves 7 generations ago. Like, let me go get my paperwork together. I thought it's racist to ask people for their paperwork. Anyway, the whole thing's crazy. But here's the more important thing that I think we can agree on. That we should have a opportunity colorblind compact. We need to have school choice in this country so kids can go to better schools and have more mobility. Number 2, reconstitute the black family. And finally, this is one that you might agree on because you're not a liberal, is that we need to no longer import foreigners that are going to undercut the wages of workers of all races, especially black Americans.
I agree.
And so what we've done is we imported Nicaraguans and Guatemalans to come take low-wage labor, and we didn't want to pay our own Americans those jobs. So final thoughts on those points.
Also, great points. I would say that I am with you for the idea of a colorblind society. I think that I think it's a bit of a farce to say that colorblind society is something we should aspire to, but I think it's a farce to think that it doesn't exist, that race doesn't play a factor. I totally
agree.
Okay, and so
I will say it plays far less of a factor 10 years ago. It's playing more of a factor today.
Yes, I agree.
In a negative way.
Yes, I 100%. I mean, I think you had mentioned something about DEI like earlier, and I was like, for sure, like the way I agree with DEI in principle, but I think the way it's been instituted by our government and all the other institutions is completely wrong. So, because for me, it's not about seeing color; it's how you treat color. Does that make sense?
Everyone's going to see color. And
exactly.
You're right.
Yeah,
and so it's an ideal that is admirable, being colorblind.
Right.
The problem with what we were promised with the Civil Rights Act, we were promised a colorblind society. We now have a color-obsessed society. And it's a breakdown of that promise. Instead, the country I grew up in, at least, was like, yeah, you're black, but it doesn't matter. It's not the most important thing. Instead, it's, are you a good person? How do you act? How do you treat other people? Are you a Christian? Like, what is your worldview? I want to get back to that. Of course, we're still going to see differences, but I want to de-emphasize them to a place where we look at each other as fellow human beings and fellow American citizens. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Wow. What an interesting question. Do you believe blacks should be paid repatriation? I, for one, I totally disagree to agree with that, because I believe the blacks we have now are not the ones that were enslaved. Why should they be paid for what they didn't suffer from? And I believe the question the gentleman asks is a good question, but trying to use repatriation to compare with inheritance, I feel that is unfair. That because they are two different things, you can try to compare repatriation with inheritance. That is two different things. They should not be compared. And even the whites we have right now, they never own slave. Those that own slave, they are long gone. They never own slave. Why would you want somebody to pay you for something he never did? Why would you want someone to pay you for a crime he never committed? I feel that is totally unfair. And from the fact Charlie is saying a lot of repatriation have been paid in the past, have been made in the past, and it seems the black community is always getting downsided, is always getting worse as time goes on. So I believe paying repatriation is not the main problem the black community is suffering from, just by the example Charlie Cook gave, that 75% of family family before now have father at home, but right now, the current America we are living, about it from 75%, it has gone down to 25%. So I believe the family is the foundation of every country. The family is the strength of every country. And building a good family is something that can help build a nation. And the problem the Black Americans are having is the lack of fathers in the home. And bringing up a child is very difficult when only the mother is playing the role. I'm not saying mothers are not trying. I'm not saying mothers are not doing a good work. Of course, mothers are doing a good work, because bringing up a child single-handedly is not something easy. You can imagine the stress they have to go through. Most of them, they take 2 or 3 jobs in order to be able to pay the child fees and take care of the child. Is something very difficult, something very challenging. So mothers are doing a very good work. I'm just trying to say, in order to bring up a child, you need a mother in the house. You also need a father in the house in order to instill the right moral value in the life of the child. You know, some children, most especially male children, they tend to they tend to take their father as a role model. If their father is a responsible person in the society, let's say the father is a doctor or the father is a lawyer, the child will try to take the step of the father and say, since my dad is a doctor, I also want to be a doctor. I also want to be a doctor, a lawyer. I also want to be a responsible person in the society. The child is going to take the father as his role model, and the child is going to grow up in the right way. If the child is falling astray, the dad can put the child in the right track, that no, don't do this, don't do this. But if the father is not in the home, it's very difficult to instill those values in the life of the child. And you know, when mother are playing only, when it's only mother in the house and the mother is playing all the role, it becomes very difficult for the mother, and most especially the male child. They don't like seeing the mother going through stress, overthinking. They will try to help, and trying to help, they might go out there and they might go out there and get themselves influenced. They might get themselves indoctrinated. Before you know, they are committing crimes in the society. So I believe the major problem the Black communities are having is the problem of family. So I believe they should try to solve this problem, and the Black communities can move from the position they are right now to a better position. So I've really learned a lot just listening to Charlie. I also like to hear your views regarding the facts and regarding the point Charlie have stated in this video. Keep the comments coming. Let's get the conversation rolling. Don't forget, click on the subscribe button, click on the like button. Do have a nice day.